the full cost of it. So we decided to give them a payment plan by partnering with like their community leaders and local farmers association, who kind of hold them responsible and standing for them and say, okay, I trust that these people will make their payment. So because of the affordability issue, we decided to go down the pay-go lane. And talking about the solutions we bring, they are actually different solutions because every customer has like his own energy need. For some people, it's just basic lighting, and some people with their solar home systems with a charging function. And while some people, they need productive use appliances like water pumps or a mill to grind their agro produce. So basically, we feel like if you are trying to solve energy poverty without addressing it in the rural off-grid communities, I don't think we'll be able to achieve that goal.
Wow. I don't know if you heard that. If we are trying to solve this problem without addressing the rural communities, I don't think, he said, we don't think we're going to achieve that goal. Why that's important? Thank you very much, Chuk. Why that's important is because much more like every other problem we face in this country, you know, if we do not fix it at the grassroots, sometimes we get carried away with the skyscrapers in Lagos and the lights and the activities and think that the whole of Nigeria is like that. There are communities who have never seen light. There's no electric pole ever for the past 20 years. I was in one community in Ibadan. You know, they had to contribute money for years to pay for a transformer. And in the same week they launched that transformer, it was vandalized. That's another issue entirely, but it was vandalized. So these are people who have been there for 20 years without electricity. They're trying to find a solution, and then they went through the process, and then they still had to go into darkness. So recently they called me and said, well, look, you've been talking about this solar. Is it possible? I said, well, let's start by, you know, powering your homes gradually. So it's very important for us to take this message that, look, for us to fix it, it must start at the grassroots. All right, thank you very much, Trooks, for that. Look, let me turn to, I'll come back to Carol in just a moment for a very important question, but let me also turn to you, Damilola. Let me find out, and that goes to every other panelist. Let's address some of the misconceptions about renewable energy. You hear people say it can e-power, you know, it doesn't work. You know, they have issues. Oh, it's not reliable. You know, does it really work like that? Is it not for fans, small items? Can it really power the house? You know, certain misconception like, no, solar energy is not strong. You know, the current is not. You hear people at the grassroots say things like that. And these are people we need to win them over to buy or adopt renewable energy. What are those misconceptions that we need to address about renewable energy?
Thank you, Collins, for that question. So in Nigeria, not only in Nigeria though, but let's focus on Nigeria, there are so many misconceptions about solar energy or renewable energy.
Yeah.
Some of them is people say solar energy is expensive. Another is that they say that it can't power everything in the house. It can only power few things in the house. And another thing is that people do say that it spoils equipment. It spoils, yes. I've also heard that it spoils equipment. And these misconceptions are not correct. Another one is that can solar work, that solar does not work during rainy season. That's another one. So for all these misconceptions, let me take it one at a time. For the cost one, that solar is expensive. It is not expensive. Number one, being expensive is relative. And then I would also like to say that energy is expensive. Energy is not cheap globally. That is just a fact. And if we are talking about energy, solar energy or renewable energy is actually cheap. Because the cost you're going to be spending to get a renewable energy system, you can get that cost, that investment, you can get it back within 3, 4, 5 years. As opposed to you spending money on fossil fuel, or even if we are to remove the subsidy from PHCN, energy is not cheap. and it makes solar to be actually cheaper. Because once you pay for your solar equipment, you own it already. Solar panels actually have lifespan of over 40 years. They come with 20 years warranty for the solar panels itself. Yes, there are other equipment that comes to it, but the solar panel is one of the major equipment there. And it comes with 20 years warranty, 40 years lifespan. So that's like a lifetime investment.
Right.
So within a couple of years, you get your investment back, your return on investment on solar energy. Then another one is that solar energy does not work during the rainy season. No, that is a very, very big no, because solar energy do work during the rainy season. With a proper design, you actually don't even design for the whole of the day. We have what is called a peak sun hour. So we use the peak sun hour to actually design solar systems. And with a good system and a good design, solar energy works during the rainy season. And it is not all that brightness that we actually need. There is a threshold that the solar panel actually take from the irradiance. Some people even think it is the heat that makes the solar panel to work. It is not even the heat. So it is not how sunny or how hot it is. Yes, there is irradiance, but there is a threshold of irradiance that is actually needed. And which other one did I mention now so I can trash it out? So another one is that solar panel cannot power a lot of equipment. That is very, very big no. Like we have a solar mini grid that powers 7 communities and is powering everything in that community. So solar energy can actually power everything. Like this place, solar energy can power the whole of this place. It is a matter of having a properly sized system and going for quality products, not going for just any kind of products. So once quality products and quality designs are deployed, solar energy do work for anything. Now, I've heard that, oh, I have a particular charger, or I have maybe a solar power bank and it's not charging my phone or something like that. Have you actually checked the voltage that your equipment needs and the voltage that power bank is giving out? So there are technical things that we need to put into consideration when we are using solar systems. So in such a situation, it is probably a voltage, it's not even probably, it is a voltage or a current issue, which means that what you are using is not matching what you need. So you just need to get the right system for your solution. And another thing is, people do say solar is expensive, but there are so many innovative financial solutions now for solar system, apart from the fact that you get your return on investment over a couple of years as opposed to using fossil fuel and other sources of energy. But there is also innovative financing solutions for solar systems now. There is the pay-as-you-go solutions, which we also deploy in our organization. Yeah. Then there's also the prepaid meters, like when we go to rural communities and we give them mini grid, we install prepaid meter that people can actually buy electricity of 200 naira or 400 naira and use it for several weeks, depending on what they're using on it. So there are so many ways and innovations to solar energy or renewable energy now, and all these misconceptions, they are not correct.
Thank you very much. I mean, well said. Just took it out of my mouth, and that's going to be an eye-opener to a lot of people, because people always just think like it's different, you know. I hear things like my generator can power this and power that with my solar system, but they don't check the voltage. They don't check their energy need to be able to ascertain this is what I need. This is how much watts I need to be able to power my house completely, my fridge and everything, before applying the solution. So in 1 minute, I don't know, let me turn to Charles one more time. In 1 minute, how would you summarize what should someone consider, you know, before starting the transition process? You want to transit from, but it's not easy. You're used to putting on the gen and the generating set. You're used to, you know, expecting light from NEPA, and now they're saying you should transit. What are the things to consider to make that transition? I mean, your company is into powering solar home systems, as it were. I mean, providing solar home systems, as it were. So what should you consider if you want to transit?
Thank you once again. Like I mentioned earlier, transitioning, convincing people to transition from what they are very much comfortable with to a solar system has always been a challenging situation for we solar operators because first of all, they have to check the affordability of this solution that you are bringing to them. And someone who can perhaps afford to buy a gasoline generator for maybe less than 100,000 and is now buying fuel for 1,000, to power his appliances daily. And then you are coming with a system that you are selling for 300,000 to introduce it to that person. You see, it's going to be a problem because of that initial cost. So you need to do some kind of mathematics for the person, break it down, spread it over the years that this system is going to last. Like my co-panelist mentioned, solar panel can stay up to 40 years. And we have some backup solutions these days that can stay for over 10 years. And the inverter system, charge controller, those ones, it hardly have issues, right? So you can span this thing over 10 years and then do the mathematics for the intending customer and let the person understand what the actual daily cost of this solar solution is. Once they have that understanding, it becomes very easy for them to start making that decision, right? But if you just drop it on them, pay 300,000, becomes a problem. Again, if you have a pay-go solution for them, it can also be easier for them to transition. Like for instance, there are some apps like PayFi app, Sunfi app, even some microfinances are also financing solar solutions for communities, right? You just come open an account with them, like Lapo Microfinance, for instance. Just open an account with them, just make an initial deposit, perhaps 10% of the total cost of that solution. And then you start making use of the solution. Then that's money that you are supposed to be spending daily on fueling your gasoline generator. You'll be paying it to the solar company through the bank, right? And maybe within 1 year, you are done with payment and the system becomes yours. So already you have transitioned, So these are the things we break down to them. And again, we also point out the fact that, these other sources of energy is not safe for the health.
That's right.
The noise is crazy.
That's right.
For some of us that stays in open compound.
It's not safe for the planet.
At all.
Absolutely.
We've had stories where fumes that comes from generator kills
people.
the whole family. So
right.
It's not safe. Explain these things to them, and they begin to see the benefits, the underlying benefits that comes with transitioning from their so-called comfort zone to the solar system, which is clean, affordable, and of course sustainable as well.
Thank you very much. Please, a round of applause for that. Well covered. I hope we are seeing where the challenges are, the area of misconception, the lack of information, as it were. So I'm going to throw this question open to everyone. I have some questions already, but I'll just, since you're on my left, before I turn back to our special guest speaker, as it were, how much of sensitization do you think we need, especially at the grassroots? Because look, some of these terms, I was expecting, thank God we are all in the space here, understanding all these procedures, understanding that it's not a switch. It's not like we just NEPA bring light, we switch from NEPA to Gen. Wow. That it's a process, and the process, it takes time, and you have to start by, first of all, accepting to start the process. What level, how would you assess the level of sensitization, or what do you think we need to do in that regard?
So I think for sensitization, it's a continuous process because the technology keeps getting better with time. So, but you need to carry them along. So, for example, in rural communities, these customers need to understand the financial benefits of these things. They also need to understand how to maintain these systems because they are not so, they don't have that technical skill. So they need to understand how to maintain it. Then also for us, for our agents, we also need to keep on training them on how to make sales or get leads to get people to want to adopt this solution. But I think it's more from experience, I think it's more on once they see the financial benefits for that system, I think you're already halfway done with that to convince them to adopt that solution. So it's more on the financial part. So when they now agree on the financial part, then the health and other environmental issues can now come in.
I love that. You talk about finances, and when we're always speaking, I ask the question randomly that what is the major challenge? And when you're talking about challenges from time to time, you mention, of course, acceptability, you mentioned affordability, but from the point of view of the solution providers, you mentioned the fact funding, which is, you know, one of the reasons the CEO of Olon is here. That's what they've been doing. I'm going to turn to you now, Caroline. Look, Olon is big on impact investments. We know that for sure. Where do you think we should be putting the money right now? Would you say decentralization of renewable energy using mini-grid, which is an area I know you're very familiar with, is a faster path to, you know, achieving power for all?
Thank you. Before I answer this question, I just really wanted to emphasize as one of the points Chooks made, and I think the other panelists did as well. You know, ultimately, humans are rational beings. If you can show them that they're going to save money, half of your job is already done, you know? Money is the heart of the matter. Right now, we all are suffering, you know, cash no day, fuel no day, everybody is suffering. So at the end of the day, even if health impact and all of those are just as important, when it comes to it, if you can prove to a person that by switching, they'll make X amount of saving, people will ready. So I think that's definitely an important point that has been raised here and that we should keep in mind. Now, with regards to the question that you've just asked, decentralized renewable energy solutions, yes, definitely it is a big focus, not only for Olon, but for the country. When you look at the statistics, they're quite telling, and I think you addressed some of them earlier on. I think, you know, 50%, at least 50% of the population is still not connected to reliable transmission, electricity transmission infrastructure. And even out of the 50% that are connected, I think it's about 70% that don't have reliable electricity connections. So when you look at those statistics, the government of Nigeria, through the Rural Electrification Agency, has actually said very clearly in their goals, let's look at decentralized renewable energy solution as the solution, as a viable alternative. And therefore, I think the RIA has set a goal of 10 million households to be provided with several sorts of renewable decentralized solutions, be it mini-grids, be it SHS. It's been made a very clear objective. So yes, to answer the question, the need is clear, and an objective has been already identified. That being said, we also know the cost implications of it. It is not cheap. Many, when you talk about mini-grids, will be quick and very prompt to rightly talk about the bankability. Are mini-grids actually bankable? Can you actually develop mini-grids in a financially sustainable way? That's a very important query, because indeed, there are still some cost implications that make the model difficultly replicable. That being said, there are quite a lot of financial incentives, subsidies, and other programs that are available worldwide, but in Nigeria, for instance, you know, the World Bank, NEP subsidies, also the African Development Bank has put together some subsidies to help mini-grid developers. So when you look at those, I'm not going to list them, it's not going to be an exhaustive list because the list is long. When you look at those different financial incentives, and then you look at financiers like ourselves who are in the market willing to extend debt at very competitive, you know, rates because we are an impact investment funds, there are some possible ways to get to a bankable model. And I think one of the reasons for that was clearly said by one of the co-panelists earlier, the cost of elements going into PV systems. The costs have decreased by quite substantial amount over the last 10 years. Now, when you look at the cost reductions, the subsidies available, you start having some of the factors required for making this market want to look at, and then therefore, to answer your question, want to invest in. And then, you know, when you have all that together, it's not enough to look at just the supply side, because those are elements on the supply side. You also have to look at the demand. How do you stimulate demand? Because it's great to have all those mini grids or other solutions provided. But then, how are we sure of the absorption? You have to also look at innovative ways to go along the customer's, pathway to growth. Initially, it's just to light the house. Then we need more than that. How do you go all the way from just lighting a house to productive uses? There are several ways to really help put together some different schemes, be it appliance financing schemes, productive use schemes, and so on. And then one other thing that we're doing at Alon, we're trying to go past just financing the end solution, so just the mini grids or just the SHS, because they're very important, but we're also trying to look at those components themselves that go into those mini grids, those SHS, where are they made? Is there anything we can help in terms of localizing content? Looking at the manufacturing of those elements right here in Nigeria, because it's obviously a big part of the cost solutions. Right. So that's something we're doing. We're looking at companies that are also trying to localize the content and helping ultimately develop a manufacturing sector. Clearly, I'm speaking too much. I'm saying that we're being told about the time, and I want to make sure that people get to ask questions as well. So let me stop here for now.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. We have 10 more minutes to wrap this up, but before we do that, there are a number of questions that have come up. I would take them quickly from you, our dear audience. If you have a question and you're going to spend 30 seconds to ask the question, it's okay. You can grab a mic. There's a lady, that beautiful lady behind you. You could grab a mic from her, and then you ask a question. So I have a question here. Say, well, solar solutions have been around for a while. Do we see a reduction in the costs in the coming years? And what components is really expensive? And is there a substitute or a way to innovate and remodel to reduce the cost? I think in our conversation, someone already mentioned that. She mentioned that the costs have been reducing already. The hope is it will reduce more. But if you want to talk about cost, also look at the fact that, you know, there's a point Charles made just a while ago, which is you have to know your energy demand. You have to know what you need before you say, this thing is expensive. Know what demand of energy you actually consume. Because buying fuel every day, you may not necessarily know until someone does an assessment of your energy need. That's when, you know, you can know exactly what will work for you. You can say, no, I just want this and all of that. The next question here also has to do with...
Sorry, as you go to the next question, we've indeed already answered it, but maybe just one specific statistic. Since 2010, just solar PV module prices have decreased by 85%. So I think that's important when we talk about reduction to let you know about the scale of this reduction.
So that means solar energy is becoming cheaper and cheaper. So no worries about what is, that's how technology is. The more the advanced the technology is, the more accessible it becomes, as it were. We all know how much we bought SIM card, you know, some years back. Right now, they'll beg you, collect SIM card for free, as it were. So the next question is pretty much has been covered. Is there anybody else in the audience that has a question? Okay, Mary.
Okay. Hello, my name is Mary, and I have two questions. My first question is, what is the Renewable Energy Association or the group? What are they doing to ensure that we have quality renewable energy products and that people can buy? I know that my family has been a victim of it. We had to buy a second solar system, not solar, like an inverter system, because the first one crashed so quickly. So what is the space doing in regards quality products? And my second question is, when it comes to renewable energy, one country can't drive it. So what are some lessons that we can learn from other African countries in the area of renewable energy that Nigeria should be applying, that they're not applying yet, or they should do more, like apply more of it? Thank you.
If I may, maybe this first question I might want to direct it to Damilola, and the second one to Caroline.
Can you hear me? Okay, so the first question was on what is the Renewable Energy Association of Nigeria doing to ensure that there is quality product in the industry. So as colleagues have said, I'm the Vice President of the Renewable Energy Association of Nigeria. And as an association, we are ensuring that members of the association, they have the skills set within their organizations that is going to be ensuring that quality is being deployed for members of the organization. And we also engage stakeholders in the organization. We engage different stakeholders, government, financial institutions, even public sector, to ensure that there is a synchronization of the industry. And we are also advocating that quality products be used and advocating with manufacturing organizations in Nigeria to ensure that there is standard that is being followed. So when you come to the organization and the members in the organizations are vetted also. So there's due diligence being going on within the organization. But of course, it's not everybody that is deploying renewable energy right now is part of the organization. So we are doing more advocacy to ensure that more people join the organization so that there can be that quality control within the industry. And then there can also be more stakeholder engagement. And we are also preaching the word of the good news of renewable energy to the public, and also preaching that quality, because that quality is very, very important. It is what is making people to doubt that renewable energy doesn't work. I've bought some equipment, they're not working. And with different stakeholders that are implementing different policies now, before you can actually assess those things, you have to go through some due diligence, which the Renewable Energy Association of Nigeria is on top of the game with all these due diligence.
I mean, you have the experience, you know, apart from Nigeria, you have an experience in African countries. So what should we be learning? What should we be doing differently? Not just in Africa, other countries are getting right in this regard.
So let me actually start saying that when it comes to off-grid, mini-grid regulation, Nigeria is actually doing quite well. Indeed, as you've mentioned, I have experience with other countries as well. And pretty proud to say that over the last few years, there's not one energy conference, mini-grids, off-grid conference you go to where you won't see the Nigerian example quoted as an example. Because over the last 6 years, Nigeria has actually put in place quite a lot of good policies and regulation with regards to facilitating the mainstreaming of off-grid and decentralized renewable energy services in Nigeria. I think I mentioned earlier the Rural Electrification Authority. That's right there is one example of a very concrete measure that have been put in place by the government of Nigeria to help ensure that there is the right level of attention given to the off-grid sector. So that right there is a very clear example. Are there areas where we could do more? There's always areas, on the fiscal side, for instance, and so on. Obviously, with the 2 minutes we have left, we can go into details, but I do want to emphasize that when it comes to off-grid, it's actually quite the other way around. Countries that definitely are looking at Nigeria in terms of what they've been doing when it comes to the required policies to expand the reach of decentralized renewable energy solutions.
Thank you very much. I think our time is far spent, and so it's good that we just stand up and say thank you. That's it for the show. It's over. Let's go. But I want us to, first of all, let me thank all the speakers and all of you who have joined the session today. It shows that we really have this nation at heart. We want the betterment of Nigeria, just being here. And trust me, we've made history here today. You may not understand, but in the next 1 minute, as we sign off, we're going to do something. All of us, we come together, even those in the back, if possible, leave your camera. We'll do something to send a message to the world that indeed, young Nigerians and indeed, those of us in this hall and the hundreds that are streaming us live, a shout out to all of you streaming us live, we're lending our voice to the cause of, you see, there's so many things linked to this conversation. First of all, there is the climate change, fighting climate change as it were. There is renewable energy transition, that, of course, which also supports that. There is a betterment of Nigerians who go through hell just to get to see light, My son is 3. He now knows. He will say light. Thank God that he doesn't hear NEPA. Whenever the switch of light, he would say lights, oh, lights. So, I mean, you don't know how dangerous, how bad that is, but we have to change that. And renewable energy is the way. So I'm going to humbly ask our speakers to all stand up as we wrap up this session. This is the beginning of our sensitization campaigns or activities to take this message to as many people as possible. So part of the things my team and I decided to do today is to do something that will stay with us, will carry with us as we go. And I'm going to teach you a short song. It's just 1 minute. We'll sing it all, and please sing it with all your heart. Remember, 180 or about 100 million Nigerians do not have electricity at all. They have not seen it, lights, they don't. So if their children will read using candles, they'll have to burn trees just to see light at home. Remember these communities as you're here in Lagos, Nigeria, as you sing this song. So I'm going to take it once. It's very simple. It's solar for you, solar for me, solar for everybody. Solar is better. Is that straight? Is that clear? Is it difficult? Is it difficult? Solar for me, solar for you, solar for everybody. Solar is better. Are we ready? Who's going to cue us? 1, 2, 3, go. Solar for you, solar for me, solar for everybody. Solar is better. One more time, and then we're going to clap after that. Solar for you, solar for me, solar for everybody. Solar is better. Yeah. Is better, yeah. Solar is better, yeah. Please a round of applause, everyone. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you, Caroline. Thank you, Chooks. Thank you, Mr. Charles. Thank you, Damilola. And to all of you who streamed online, we say thank you. Thank you, Africa Next. Thank you, Black Voice Media. God bless you. God bless Nigeria. Please feel free to interact, network as we walk away.